The police report was still unfiled in the young man's backpack as Michael B. Jordan talked about black male vulnerability and the courage it takes to speak truth to power. Ellen was discussing the actor's latest role exploring social justice when she noticed the teenager in the front row, repeatedly touching his ribs while staring at Michael with desperate recognition. What happened next would prove that sometimes the most important fights aren't staged in boxing rings, but in courtrooms where young black men learn that their voices matter, their pain is valid, and that speaking up isn't betraying their community, it's protecting it. It was an emotionally charged Wednesday afternoon at the Ellen DeGeneres show, and the studio hummed with purposeful energy. 400 audience members, many from local communities of color, had gathered to see one of Hollywood's most powerful advocates for social justice discuss his latest work. Ellen, commanding in a bold royal blue blazer with silver detailing, was thoroughly enjoying her conversation with Michael B. Jordan, who looked striking in a perfectly tailored black suit, his presence filling the studio with that blend of artistic excellence and unwavering commitment to justice that had made him more than just an actor, but a voice for systemic change and authentic black masculinity. "Michael," Ellen said, leaning forward with genuine respect, "you've become this incredible advocate for social justice, for redefining what black masculinity can look like. What message do you want to send to young black men who are struggling to find their voice?" Michael's eyes lit up with the passion that had driven him from actor to activist. "Ellen, I think we've been taught that being a strong black man means suffering in silence, that showing pain or vulnerability somehow makes you weak. But real strength is speaking your truth, even when that truth is uncomfortable, even when it challenges systems that want to keep you quiet." The audience responded with powerful applause, many young black men nodding with recognition. This wasn't just celebrity promotion. This was validation about struggles that felt deeply personal and dangerous. "And police violence," Ellen continued carefully, "the trauma that so many young black men carry. How do you talk to them about processing that pain while still fighting for justice?" "It's one of the hardest conversations," Michael said honestly, "because we're taught to be resilient, to bounce back, to not let them see you break. But trauma doesn't disappear just because you're tough. And sometimes the most revolutionary thing you can do is admit that what happened to you was wrong, that it hurt you, and that you deserve healing and justice." That's when Ellen noticed him. In the front row, slightly to the left, sat a young man who appeared to be around 19. He had an athletic build but moved carefully, as if something hurt, and wore a hoodie despite the warm studio temperature. His name was Jamal Washington, though Ellen didn't know it yet. What caught Ellen's attention was the way Jamal was staring at Michael while repeatedly touching his side, wincing slightly, tears building in his eyes as Michael spoke about trauma and speaking truth. Jamal's hands were shaking as he adjusted his position, and Ellen could see him breathing carefully, as if certain movements caused pain he was trying to hide. Ellen's instincts, honed through 20 years of reading her audiences, told her this wasn't someone inspired by Michael's message about finding voice. This was someone living the exact trauma Michael was describing. Someone who needed to speak, but was terrified of the consequences. "Michael," Ellen said gently, "hold that thought about admitting when something wrong happened to you. I think someone in our audience is struggling with exactly that right now." Michael followed Ellen's gaze toward Jamal, his expression immediately shifting from entertainer to deeply concerned advocate, as he recognized the signs of someone carrying fresh trauma. Ellen stood up from her chair and took several steps toward the audience. "Young man in the front row, are you okay? You look like you're in pain." Jamal looked up, startled and clearly torn between wanting help and fearing exposure. He tried to straighten up and stop touching his side, falling back into the protective posture of a young black man taught never to show weakness. "I'm good," Jamal said. his voice carrying the careful control of someone used to not attracting attention. "Just pulled a muscle playing basketball." Ellen walked down the steps that separated the stage from the audience, something she did only when every instinct told her someone was in immediate need of support. "What's your name?" Ellen asked, now standing directly in front of Jamal's row. "Jamal Washington. I'm 19, sophomore at UCLA." Ellen knelt down in the aisle beside Jamal's row, her royal blue blazer spreading around her as she created a safe space in what must have felt like dangerous visibility. "Jamal, that doesn't look like a basketball injury. You're moving like someone who's been hurt badly. What really happened?" Jamal looked around the studio, then at Michael, then back at Ellen with such conflicted pain that it made everyone in the studio understand they were witnessing someone wrestling with whether to trust them with his truth. It's complicated," Jamal said, his voice breaking slightly. "People wouldn't understand. They'd say I should have handled it differently." The studio fell into that particular silence that happens when hundreds of people sense they're about to witness something that could change everything. From the stage, Michael B. Jordan stood up immediately. Without being asked, without consulting producers, he walked down to join Ellen and Jamal. This celebrity interview had just become something infinitely more important. Michael approached Jamal with the careful respect of someone who understood exactly what it meant to carry trauma in a black male body in America. "Jamal," Michael said softly, his voice carrying the authority of someone who had spent years advocating for justice. "Whatever happened to you, it's not your fault. And whatever you're afraid people will say, that fear is real. But your truth is more important than their judgment." Jamal's composure cracked slightly. 3 weeks ago, I was walking home from the library. It was like 9 p.m. I had my headphones in, just minding my business. These 2 cops stopped me, said I matched a description of someone they were looking for. Ellen felt her heart racing as she realized what kind of story they were about to hear. "What happened next, Jamal?" "They told me to put my hands on the car. I did exactly what they said, but one of them said I was being resistant, that I had an attitude. The next thing I know, one of them shoved me against the car so hard I heard my ribs crack, and the other one had his knee on my back while I was trying to tell them I was just a student." The studio fell into that profound silence that happens when hundreds of people confront the reality of police violence against young black men. Michael knelt beside Ellen, creating an intimate circle while Jamal continued to touch his injured ribs. "Jamal, did you report this?" Jamal shook his head, fresh tears starting. "I was gonna, but then I started thinking, what if they don't believe me? What if the cops say I was resisting and I get in more trouble? What if my scholarship gets affected? What if they come after my family?" Michael's expression had shifted into something Ellen had rarely seen from any celebrity. A fierce combination of protective fury and deep understanding of the impossible position young black men are put in. "Jamal, I want you to listen to me very carefully," Michael said with quiet intensity. "What happened to you was assault. It was a violation of your rights, your dignity, your humanity. And every fear you just named, every reason you haven't reported it, those are the exact reasons the system depends on to keep this happening." Ellen stood up slowly, her heart breaking for this young man who was carrying both physical and psychological trauma alone. "Jamal, are you getting medical treatment for your ribs?" "I went to urgent care, told them I fell. The x-rays showed 2 fractured ribs, but I couldn't tell them what really happened. I've been paying for pain medication out of pocket because I was afraid to use my insurance, in case someone asks questions." Michael reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out his personal phone. "Jamal, I'm going to do something right now. I'm calling an attorney I know who specializes in police misconduct cases. She's going to help you file this report properly, and she's going to make sure you're protected throughout the process." Jamal stared at Michael in disbelief. But what if it makes things worse? What if they retaliate? What if staying silent means the next student they stop gets hurt worse than you did? Michael asked gently. What if your voice, your courage to speak up, is what stops this from happening to someone else's little brother, someone else's son? Ellen felt tears welling in her own eyes as she watched this conversation unfold. Jamal, what do you think would happen if every young black man who experienced police violence stayed silent because they were afraid? Then nothing would ever change, Jamal said quietly, the realization dawning on him. Then they'd keep getting away with it. Exactly, Michael said firmly. And I know it's scary, I know it feels impossible, but you're not alone in this. There are people who will stand with you, who will amplify your voice, who will make sure your truth is heard and your safety is protected. Ellen began removing her royal blue blazer. Jamal, this blazer has been with me through some of my most important interviews. But today it's witnessing something more important than any celebrity story. It's witnessing courage. She placed the blazer around Jamal's shoulders. You came here today carrying trauma alone, afraid to speak your truth. But your truth matters. Your pain matters. Your justice matters. But it was Michael's next gesture that brought the entire studio to their feet. He reached into his backpack and pulled out what appeared to be official documents. Jamal, is this the police report you've been carrying around, afraid to file? Jamal nodded, ashamed. I filled it out a dozen times, but I could never bring myself to submit it. I keep thinking about all the ways it could go wrong. Michael held the documents carefully, as if they contained something sacred. These papers aren't just a police report, Jamal. They're your refusal to let injustice win. They're your decision to value your own dignity. They're your contribution to protecting every young black man who comes after you. Michael stood up and addressed the cameras directly. If there are young black men watching this who have experienced police violence, who are carrying trauma alone because they're afraid to speak up, please know that your silence protects the system, not you. Please know that reporting what happened doesn't make you weak or a snitch. It makes you a warrior for justice. The moment that brought the entire studio to sustained applause came when Ellen asked Jamal what he wanted to say to other young black men who were afraid to report police misconduct. I want them to know that our ancestors didn't survive everything they survived, so we could stay silent when we're wronged, Jamal said, his voice growing stronger as he looked at the unfiled police report. I want them to know that speaking up isn't betraying our community. Staying silent is betraying it. Because every time we don't report, every time we let it slide, we're giving them permission to do it to the next brother. Michael's eyes filled with tears of pride. That's exactly right, Jamal. That's what real black male strength looks like. Within hours, Jamal Washington was meeting with civil rights attorneys and filing his police misconduct report with full legal protection and community support. Michael B. Jordan personally funded his legal representation and stayed involved throughout the investigation. 2 months later, Jamal appeared on the Ellen DeGeneres show again, but this time he was accompanied by the attorneys who had helped him navigate the legal system. And the 2 officers involved in his assault were facing disciplinary action and retraining. Michael appeared in person to celebrate Jamal's courage and announce the launch of a legal aid fund specifically designed to help young black men report and prosecute police misconduct cases. The segment sparked a national conversation about police accountability, the trauma carried by young black men, and the importance of speaking truth to power, even when that truth is dangerous. Jamal became an advocate for police reform and black male mental health, speaking at universities about the intersection of trauma and justice. Ellen learned that day that her job wasn't to interview famous people about their latest projects. Her job was to create moments where systemic injustice could be challenged, where young people could find the courage to demand the respect they deserve, and where silence could be transformed into powerful testimony for change. Michael B. Jordan learned that the most important performances happen not on movie screens, but in moments when his platform gives someone else the courage to speak truth that the world needs to hear, even when that truth threatens powerful systems. And Jamal Washington learned that sometimes the scariest thing you can do, filing a police report that could bring retaliation, is also the most important thing you can do for every young black man who shouldn't have to choose between safety and justice, between silence and dignity. Because the most powerful fights aren't always the ones with dramatic music and choreographed action sequences. Sometimes they're the ones that happen in police stations, where young black men learn that their voices matter, their pain is valid, and that real change begins when they refuse to let injustice be normalized. One police report, one truth, one act of courage at a time.